Hey guys, today we're gonna go and see if we can um, use Async.io to simultaneously download a bunch of URLs, you know, asynchronously, not in a multi-threaded fashion, but because the threads are not safe, it's very difficult to handle them without breaking. Uh, the fastest way to do that is to do it asynchronously. Okay, so you're going to use the async IO package. It works very well with the AIO HTTP package. Um, and then we're going to use the default timer as well. So I've loaded that. Let's see if we can get all these URLs simultaneously. Right? To help us understand this, in terms of we're going to use the default timer to measure how long it will take for us. Okay, um, and to if see if it's actually doing it simultaneously or not. Right? So before we get into it, we have to understand this. The simplest way to do this, the simplest way to do this would be to simply use some sort of the client session itself. So, for example, the simplest part of this code would be something like async, right? Um, with client session, right? We're going to create one, okay, as let's say session, okay. So, as a variable session, let's say, right? This is not the proper way of doing it, but I'm just going to give it to you in a way where you clearly understand, and we'll build the code around it. It'll shift around now, right? And each of these client session is basically you're going to just do a get, right? So you're going to do async with session dot get of the each of these URLs. You're going to pass each of these URLs and say, hey, get me this URL, and you will get a response. Simply query that response in this way, maybe. Um, you say that will be the place where you are expecting the result. So you're going to say wait response dot read. Wait for the whole thing to be read, and then just print the thing, print the response. Right, you're done. Now, this is when you have to create one single URL in an async fashion, which this code makes no real sense at all. I know that. Because why would you do that in async if you're doing only once? So, but this is the core. Okay, so now we're going to build around this. Remember that. Okay, we're going to build around this. And so that's why I pulled this weird code out. And now we're going to actually divide this into different tasks. So the first thing we're going to do is remember that we are going to do this somewhere. Okay, so I'm going to control Z this. This part we're going to do in some place, right? So let's just say I'm going to secretly, I know that this is what I'm going to do. I'm just going to put that there, right? I'm not even going to delete it. Okay, so now what I'll do is let's see if we can pull these URLs. Let's where we are here is in this place where we can pass these URLs and then one by one go through them. So we need a function for that. Let's just define a function for it to handle and take it away from the main function. So we're going to just say fetch, instead of URLs, we're going to make it async, isn't it? Async of give me the URLs. Right? We're talking like that guy from Jurassic Park. I don't know. So here we are going to um, before we do anything, um, we're going to use event loops. Okay, we're going to because event loops will tell us what is happening in the system thread at different points in time. Okay? You will understand this as you go along. So async.io dot I'm going to say get event loop. I think that's how you type it. Okay, if it is not there, an event loop will be created by the get event this case. Okay, so now I'm going to pass that loop. Okay, this is a basic overall structure of it, and then we are going to use futures here. Okay, because we are doing async operations, that means things wait on things. We have to go into the future and ensure the future. So we're going to use async IO dot ensure, okay, future. That's not our job anymore to control this. Okay, and then of something, okay, here something which is, let's say, fetch everything or something. Okay, fetch everything here, fetch everything. We'll see. Okay, we'll define what this is a little bit more, but this is a broad request, isn't it? Okay, fetch everything. And like, why, from where? Oh, from all the URLs, right? Yeah, take the URLs, fetch everything, just ensure that future, please. Just ensure this is almost like a command. So we're gonna go loop equals, no, sorry, future equals. So once we have that future, isn't in our kitty. So how do we know we have the future, right? And that's a future hope, right? So we're gonna take that. uh, do not think I'm not feeling weird talking like this. Okay, I am absolutely feeling weird, but this is fun. Okay, now I'm going to take the loop, okay, the event loop of the system, and then I'm going to make sure run until complete to get the future. Okay, I'm making sure run until everything is complete. Believe it or not, that's a function, and we are going to pass the future to it. Give me that future. You're literally saying that. Okay, so far so good. So far so freaking mental. Okay, cool. Now we need to now define what this fetch everything is. Okay, so I'm going to define that now. Yeah, we need to define that. Let's just keep it as fetch everything. To hell with whatever I was thinking. I had a different plan. Oops. So here's the problem with this. This is an async function, isn't it? So we just call it async. Okay, because you know, def fetch everything. Makes sense? And what else? It's the most emotional code ever, I think. Just make sure this happens. It's almost like it's a secretary. You're telling this function is a secretary. You're telling the secretary, just start the event loop, ensure this future, and what do you want in the future? Fetch everything. And here is the stuff, which means everything. Just make sure I run into complete and ensure, you know, this particular future especially is done. Okay. So, so what is fetch everything? Let's get into that a little bit. Okay. Um, Now, remember this? We're gonna pull that here. Okay. Async. Inside of that, we're gonna create a session, and inside of the session, we're going to say, let's go through those URLs for the first time. Let's unpack them. So I'm going to just do for each on that. For URL in URLs. And I'm going to do a fetch, a direct fetch here. Okay, so again, I'm not going to define that fetch for a second. Okay, I want to take that away a little bit. So for URLs, for each of those URL, what we need to do is we need to fetch it, correct? But we're not, we want to ensure the fetch as well, individual fetches. Here it's ensure everything, here is ensure one thing, one fetch. Okay, so I'm going to use again asyncio dot ensure future. Then I'm going to call, say, fetch this and fetch a URL for me, please. Okay, and I'm going to pass, we'll talk about that a little later. Okay, so that's all I want to do right now. Okay, but is this enough? It's sort of not enough, because we need to have this in one place. All these sessions, we need to gather in one place, otherwise we'll be lost. Okay, so for that we're going to use a function, believe it or not, gather. Okay, so before we do that, let's just pull it all in an array, shall we? Oops, why is this not tabbed properly? All right, so put it all in an array. We call it simply tasks equals an array. How about that? Okay, so now let's just pass this as a task in and then append this. How about that? Okay, so I'm just going to pass task.append. Don't get scared here. Task. Okay, so that we can, so this is how we're going to define it. Await async.io dot gather. All these tasks. Okay, so we're going to gather all these tasks pointed to all these tasks. We're going to gather in one place. All right, make sense? Okay, but we still don't know what is fetch URL means. We're going to separate that out as a concern right now. Okay, all right. Okay, so now let's define what happens inside of the fetch. Okay, the fetch itself is an async function. I'm not going to name it anything fancy because I'm getting a little scared of this code. We're going to define this. So I want to lose track by making jokes. Okay, so now we need the URL here, but we also are inside a session, remember? So I'm just going to pass the session here to make it convenient for me. So take the session. Okay, and now we can do the actual function, which is the get function of the session. Remember this function here? So we're going to go to it at get. Here we go. There you go. Sync with session get URL as response. And inside that, again, we have to wait because it might take a while to read the content. So that itself is an async function. So we use the await. So we just wait response dot read. So there's a lot of waiting going on. Okay, and now let's see if we can just say here we just give ourselves some indication that this is done. Done what? I would say the URL done. Just say okay. The URL is done. We'll see if this code runs. Let's just save this code as, I think this is good enough to run now. We'll call it async fetch or whatever, right? Async fetch.py. And I'm just going to clear my terminal and then call Python3 async fetch.py. And hope that it works. Oh, okay. So, well, I didn't call. I need to call here the fetch URLs function, fetch async function, sorry, with my URLs. Otherwise, how will it even start? And now let's let's see how many errors this gives us. Name session is not defined. And which line is that? Session.get. Session is defined. Oh, that's because of a simple. Sorry about that. There you go. So done, done. Okay. So these are all the URLs we said we'll go get, and we got it. Okay, that's pretty fast. So now if you want to really sort of check how long it took, we could use the timer here. So one of the overall ways of doing this is to do an overall timer, right? So let's just see if we can do an overall timer here. And then I'm going to say start time. Just say start time equals default timer. Oops, default time. Just initialize this. Okay, let's keep it there. And once the sort of the future is complete, let's find out the default timer here should give us the current time minus the earlier time, which is the start time, and let's push that into time taken. Time taken equals that. And then let's print that. Say, so let's say print. Okay, this is not going to be pretty, but it doesn't have to be. Print time total is what? Is um, time taken. Okay, let's see if we can find how long it all took. All right, type error, print type error can only concatenate string, not float. Oh, okay. I think I tried to concatenate these, but I'm just going to convert this into a string for a minute. Okay, this should print out. Here we go. Time taken total is this much. Okay, just going to clear this so that 6.8 some seconds. I want to do one more thing. Let's also do I just sort of want to do a measurement of each of these somehow, right? So it is not that easy. I want to see what the response time was for each of these URLs separately. Okay, so what we'll do is um, mm, Let's see if I can just sort of go create a dictionary here. I want to create a dictionary and say start times, okay, equals a dictionary. mm, City, okay, and here I'm going to add everything to that. I'm going to add over here I'm going to add um, start time of URL equals default time. Default time gives you the current time basically, right? And now what we'll do is right after the reading, we got to say you're going to use the same function here like this, time taken equals default timer minus start times of URL. Okay, now it gives for this particular URL, we're going to know what the start time is. Okay, and now we're going to use the same technique here. Just print there you go, print URL here. I would say URL plus took how much time? It took it took it should come here. Time taken should come over here. Okay, default timer start times. Okay, at this point I don't know what it was doing there, and then it took that long. It's also done. I know that. So str of time taken. And let's see if this runs. There you go. It took two zeros, point something, 0 point something. And it always takes longer, 5 seconds. And then product took, and overall it took 11 seconds. Alright. So that is how you do a simple a simple just run this again.